Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar has been killed, the IDF has confirmed. Now, the Hamas leader's final moments shows him sitting down with his arm wounded inside a damaged building as footage was caught on a drone. Now, many pro-Israel supporters are celebrating this as a victory. However, Hamas has responded. Speaking in a televised address, Yahya spoke of the memory of the fallen martyr, Yahya Sinwar. Yahya added that Sinwar's martyrdom and the leaders who preceded him will only increase the strength and resilience of our movement. The occupation prisoners will not return unless the aggression on Gaza stops. There is a complete withdrawal from Gaza and our prisoners are released from the prisons, Yahya said. Hamas will continue until the establishment of the Palestinian state on all Palestinian soil, with Jerusalem as its capital. Now, Joe Biden also made a statement claiming the death of Sinwar brings the region closer to peace. Speaking as he arrived in Germany to meet European leaders, Biden said he felt more hopeful about the prospect of a ceasefire and would send the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, to Israel in the next 4 or 5 days. Biden joined figures including his Vice President Kamala Harris, the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the French President Emmanuel Macron, and the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in urging progress towards a ceasefire. If Biden thinks this makes peace more likely, he clearly hasn't been paying attention. It is in Netanyahu's interest for this war to be prolonged. It's worth mentioning that Yahya was born in a refugee camp. All of the Israel supporters celebrating his death are ignoring the bigger picture here. It's not about whether Sinwar was good or bad, and for any avoidance of doubt, I do think he is bad, but the fact that the conditions created him and will create another Sinwar. David, do you think this is in any way significant? Do you think this is a big blow to the resistance to the occupation? Or does this make no difference whatsoever?
I think it makes no difference whatsoever, but to say that it's going to tip the scales and things like that is like, first of all, it shows an astounding ignorance of how Israel's been operating, the things that we've all been watching. But it also, to put it completely bluntly, Israel's been doing an absolutely amazing job of recruiting absolute legions of people to Hamas, or at least sympathize with them over the last year. So the idea that the death of one man is going to somehow fundamentally change something on this scale is absolutely ludicrous. And to see someone as powerful as Joe Biden either try and take people for fools or genuinely believe something that's obvious garbage is frankly quite embarrassing, but nothing more than I would be surprised in terms of what's come out of America over the last year. It's very transparent. You know, Biden himself has stood in front of Air Force One and said, I'm a committed Zionist. So when it comes to that, you know, I frankly really don't care what people think anymore. I don't trust what comes out of Israel. I don't trust people that say that they're Zionists, because it's very obvious that they have a huge bias towards what's been happening. And the big problem really is that it adds to this erosion of trust in politicians in general, never mind left, right wing. You know, supposedly the good guys are in both America and the UK now, and we're still doing this. So, no, it's not going to make a big difference. It's continuing to compound the lie just means that we all feel exactly like we have, which is that we can't trust them.
I mean, it's a good point you made, though, that Israel has done a really good job of recruiting people to Hamas. And, you know, for so long, they said that Sinwar was hiding away in tunnels, and, you know, he was basically taking all this money or whatever, and he was leaving people on the front line. I mean, he died on the front line. Actually, I mean, my producers just confirms to me through CNN 20 minutes ago that he was killed with a shotgun to the head. So they've made a martyr out of him. I mean, they've really messed up here. Showing footage of a man who's wounded and then you kill him. By the way, you're doing it through drones. You know, I mean, you're filming someone through a drone. If you juxtapose that, you can see someone who's there on the front line versus people sat in a room with a computer. A cowardly way of doing it. But you're absolutely right. It is a recruiting tool to Hamas. Now, what I find very interesting is, again, many Zionists and pro-Israel supporters, again, I don't trust what they say, but they're trying to make out Hamas and specifically Sinwar as this ideologue. Now, of course, he is definitely one of the more radicals of Hamas, right? Again, I'm not saying what he did on October 7th was good. I've always condemned it. But, you know, Hamas doesn't exist in a vacuum. In fact, actually, Netanyahu propped up Hamas. But Hamas and October 7th and Sinwar, these things wouldn't exist without the occupation. And I referenced earlier that Sinwar was born in a refugee camp. Yet these people seem to think, oh, he's just him, Hamas, they just hate Jews, they just want to kill them all. And it's like, can you not understand the material reasons behind it? Now, compare that to Zionism, on the other hand. I mean, I feel like that is way more ideological. I mean, you've got Netanyahu, who's a very powerful man. He's hardly struggling, is he? There's not really any material conditions behind him that force him to become radical. He has a belief in the lands being owned by Israel. That is ideological. But to look at Hamas through the lens of, well, they're just bad people and that's it, it's not true. But also, even on the Israel side, you're not going to defeat them if you think like that. Because again, as we've just seen, they've killed the leader, but it looks like it's a recruitment tool again. It's actually probably rallied the troops even more. I mean, would you agree with that assessment?
Absolutely. I don't know why they think that this is something to brag about, because even if things were different, even if things were being reported differently, ultimately, again, you've killed one person at the cost of killing tens of thousands more. I mean, I saw a figure earlier, and I tried to confirm it before I came on because I knew this would come up. We're talking over 100,000 people that have been killed in Gaza, and as well, I saw footage today of an Israeli person that's works with peacekeeping orgs that work in the area, and she was being attacked by fellow Israeli Zionists because she was helping Palestinians pick olives. She got hit so hard in the side with a bat that she had to get taken to a hospital. You can say what you want about Hamas and about the things that are coming out of Palestine and October 7th and blah blah blah. It's not to belittle those things, but ultimately I see that violence as a symptom of a larger disease, which is occupation, which is apartheid, which is mass slaughter, starvation of people that live in a certain area, refusal to send in vaccines. What the hell do you think is going to happen if you keep doing those things? You kill one man, well done, but the evil that you've done is going to recruit thousands more in his place. Well done. Brilliant strategy.
Well, I mean, for Netanyahu, this is part of his plan. He wants to prolong the war, doesn't he? I mean, as I referenced before, Netanyahu quite literally propped up Hamas. It's covered everywhere, even in Israeli media. It's not a conspiracy. So for Netanyahu, this is potentially a way of prolonging the war, because if he wants to, I think, wipe all Palestinians off the face of the earth. And in order to do that, he needs the war to happen. So you and I may think, this is crazy. Why are they doing this? It makes no sense, apart from they're just genocidal maniacs. That is it at the end of the day. I mean, there are people around Netanyahu who are even thinking, look, they're bad themselves. But Netanyahu was clearly doing this to prolong the war. So he's probably very happy that this is a recruitment tool. He's probably very happy that more and more people are fighting to the cause, because the bigger the resistance, the bigger the response Israel can do. And as you referenced there as well with an Israeli person working with the peacekeepers, she was attacked by the IDF. Israel attacks their own all of the time, whether it's Israelis protesting the occupation in Israel, whether it's the Hannibal Directive, which literally allows the IDF to kill their own, whether it's IDF soldiers or Israel. And we know that the Hannibal Directive was used on October 7th. We know that some of the bombings from Israel has killed hostages. Netanyahu does not give a toss about his own people. He doesn't care. For him, this is about prolonging the war. This is about wiping Palestinians off the map, and this is about occupation of the entire region. And that isn't just Netanyahu. That's most of the people in the government. He's just the most outspoken one of them.
Support independent media. Support social justice that's there on social media. Thank you. Turn left.